Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Joe Sergi, and this is the 13th module of my self-help kit on the happy life. This is the audiovisual component of module 13. For more detail, you could read the script version of the module on Michael's website. The title of this module is Reappraisal. Again, reappraisal. So what is reappraisal? Reappraisal is essentially an attitude change. It's an intervention to create attitude change. Changing attitude involves reinterpreting events and circumstances in one's life. For example, a man believes he failed in marriage and is therefore doomed to fail at finding a life partner. Such generalization is likely to cause a great deal of sadness and grief. Such misinterpretation can be corrected by a convincing argument that failing in one's marriage does not doom him to failing in future romantic relationships. There's substantial evidence suggesting that how people interpret their life circumstances has a lot to do with how they feel about life. For example, clinical psychologists talk about coping and how happy people initiate thoughts and behaviors that are adaptive and helpful in solving their problems. In contrast, unhappy people, cope in more destructive ways. Happy people are more likely to see the bright side of things, pray and tackle their problems head on, whereas unhappy people are more likely to blame others and themselves and avoid working on their problems. Research also suggests that people might increase their subjective well-being by controlling their thoughts. For example, evidence indicates that religious people are, on average, happier than non-religious people. This may be because religious people believe in a greater meaning or force in the universe. In other words, thoughts about one's place in the large scheme of things influence subjective well-being. Studies also have shown that one can enhance subjective well-being by being optimistic about one's future. In other words, thinking about the future in positive or negative terms influences subjective well-being. Again, research indicates that depressed people are more likely to believe that negative events are caused by global and stable causes, and that negative events are very likely to continue to happen to them. Depressed people think that about the world in self-defeating ways. Again, this illustrates how negative thoughts can affect subjective well-being. Much research has shown that happy people are not more successful than unhappy ones. Their life experiences are almost the same. What is different is how they view the world and appraise life events. Unhappy people tend to appraise their life events negatively, while happy people do the opposite. People with high subjective well-being are also more likely to perceive neutral events as positive. Thus, happy people may not only experience more positive events objectively, but also perceive them more positively than unhappy people. The old adage of some see the glass as half full while others see it as half empty applies here. Happy people usually appraise their life events positively. They see the glass as half full. Unhappy people appraise events negatively. They see them, they see themselves or they see the glass as half empty. Happy people interpret defeat differently from unhappy people. Happy people usually explain it away. They attribute defeat to an isolated incident that indicates little about their ability. Unhappy people, on the other hand, take defeat quite personally. They focus on it, magnify it, and dwell on it. Defeat colors their future vision. They predict that they will fail in the future because of that defeat. Unhappy people see negative things not only in defeat, but also in any world event. Unhappy people tend to infer hidden agendas in people's actions. For example, if a person acts benevolently towards another, the unhappy person is likely to see the benevolent act is motivated by some ulterior motive, such as personal gain. Happy people, on the other hand, see benevolence as motivated by care. What happens when a person receives a job promotion? Happy people feel quite rewarded and look forward to the new responsibilities. Unhappy people lament the added responsibilities. Personal setbacks and triumphs are not by themselves good predictors of life satisfaction. What predicts life satisfaction significantly is the perception of causes and consequences of those events. Reappraisals tend to reduce negative emotional experiences with little cost. The reappraisal strategy is more effective than the suppression strategy. Suppression strategy refers to the coping strategy people use by suppressing their emotions. They do not allow themselves to feel. They do this by detaching themselves from life. Now, let's use an example to illustrate how the reappraisal strategy works. Let's focus on George's situation. George is moderately satisfied with his life. He is happy with his family, moderately satisfied with his work life, and dissatisfied with his leisure life. He recalls mostly negative events in his family life, some positive and negative events in his work life, and mostly negative events in his leisure life. George reappraised the negative events at work, which made him feel better about them. Now he feels much better about his work life, which in turn has contributed to an increased overall satisfaction with life. The focal point of the reappraisal is to shed new meaning on the negative events at work. Now, George is a medical researcher and a professor of medicine at a renowned medical school. His research has focused on diabetes. He has conducted research showing that changes in lifestyle, like diet and exercise, stress management, leisure activities, and so on, can reduce diabetes symptoms in older adults. He has published much of his research in diabetes related medical specialty journals. However, he thinks that success and recognition of his research are likely to come from publications in the most renowned medical journals, such as the New England Journal of Medicine and the Journal of the American Medical Association, rather than medical specialty journals related to diabetes. He has tried to get his research published in these journals with no success. These journals typically publish research considered pioneering and path breaking, which is not characteristic of his research. Therefore, he feels bad about this aspect of his work life. He reappraises this particular set of events in his work life, and but well, what does he do? He realizes that His publications in diabetes journals are likely to be more impactful than those in the most prestigious journals, in the most prestigious general medical journals. This is because physicians who specialize in treating diabetes are more likely to regularly subscribe to diabetes-related medical journals than to the most prestigious medical journals. Hence, his research is likely to reach the target audience more quickly and effectively. Now, this reappraisal strategy has made him feel much better about his work life, which in turn made him feel better about his life overall. So, in sum, he is the principle capturing much of this discussion. The reappraisal principle. Reinterpreting significant negative events can convert the negative affect or feelings associated with them into positive feelings. This should reduce dissatisfaction in the area housing these events. Conversely, reinterpreting significant positive events can enhance their positive valence, thereby increasing satisfaction in the domain in which they occur. Doing so should help enhance subjective well-being overall. Let me repeat that. The reappraisal principle. Reinterpreting significant negative events can convert the negative affect associated with them into positive affect. This should reduce dissatisfaction in the area hosting these events. Conversely, reinterpreting significant positive events can enhance their positive valence, thereby increasing satisfaction in the domain in which they occur. Doing so should help enhance subjective well-being. Now, in the script version of this module, I describe several techniques that people use to successfully reappraise negative events to increase positive feelings or decrease negative feelings, or both. These are active teaching, spirituality, social support, and time. Again, active teaching, spirituality, social support, and time. To know more about these reappraisal strategies, read the script version on Michael's website. Okay, that's the gist of this module. And I will see you in the context of the last module, which is module 14. Bye now.